Welcome to Starlink Pulse with Mace and Sidra, your place to keep up with the people and solutions that drive our tech industry forward. But even more importantly, your place to unwind and have real casual chats away from much of the formalities of our industry.
The topic of health has been in discussion for past couple of years, and as November is the month dedicated to men's health awareness, to mark that, this episode will feature the incredibly inspiring and touching story of our very own colleague, Mr. Mohammed Yahya. Indeed, he was a fighter. So without any further ado, please let us welcome him to this show.
Thank you so much for having me today to speak more about my story. Thank you, Ms. Sidra. And it was a great opportunity to pass my message to all my colleagues, my friends about my how I overcome the disease and came back again to work normally.
So, Muhammad, thank you again for being here and being willing to share your story with us. It's a very personal, touching, and difficult story to share. So, we're inspired by that. Could you tell us the story from the beginning? So, how you felt that there was something wrong and then when you got diagnosed?
So, firstly, my case started in September 2019. It started with a usual cough. It continues for 2 days. Then I went to the doctor just for the normal checkup. We did some test and an X-ray, and the doctor he told me everything is normal, and he gave me some medicine. But unfortunately, after 3-4 days, the cough continues and it's get more aggressive. So I went to the specialist doctor this time, and I showed him the medicine and the X-ray, and he was very surprised because there was like a big shadow on top of my right lung. And he told me, I will give you more antibiotics and some medicine, and we will check up again your health on after 1 week. So I took all of the medicine, but unfortunately the case still continue and the cough getting more aggressive. So I went again to the same doctor, and he told me the only option that we have is to do a CT scan. So I did the first CT scan, and once he saw all of the documents with the CT scan, he told me the way to deal with this case that you need to go to Rashid Hospital because they have more specialties on this field. So next day I went to Rashid Hospital. They checked the documents again with the CT scan and X-ray, and he told me that we need to do endoscopy. It's like a type of surgery but without cutting anything. After 1 week, I scheduled the surgery, and I went inside, but unfortunately they couldn't find anything. So they told me now because we couldn't reach with the endoscopy, we need to do a normal surgery. Then we cut and they go inside to take a biopsy because as per the CT scan, there is something, a big mass, and they need to take some part of it to do more tests on it. So after 2 weeks, I scheduled the surgery. We did it, but after 2 hours with the surgeon, unfortunately, he couldn't find anything. So I went back after 1 week for the checkup to see what is the next step. And the doctors, they was like confused. What we can do? We do already the surgery. They gave me some medicine just for the follow up, and I remember after 3 weeks we scheduled another surgery because when they asked me to do another CT scan just to check if the mass remained the same, and they found it that it's became more bigger and they reached to the left side of the lung. So in January I scheduled the second surgery, the main surgery, and after 3 hours in the surgeon desk, unfortunately he couldn't reach to the area. So we ran with the solutions. After 2 to 3 weeks, I went again, but to another doctor, more specialist on the cancer cases, because after the second CT scan, doctors they told me you have 3 possibilities on this case. It's either TB, but with a low possibility, sarcoidosis, or lymphoma. And he told me that you need to act fast because both diseases, they are spreading on the bodies in general. So I saw the cancer doctor, and he told me we need to do another endoscopy, just to run all of the possibilities that we have. So I did that, but in the meantime, Corona started, and the lockdown was uh, closing all of the life in UAE and around the world. And in that time also, I lost my voice completely. I lost the smelling sense also. So I went uh, after 2 weeks. Once the lockdown started, I found a way and I reached the doctor again, but this time just to see what is the issue of the voice. I did an MRI for the neck, and he told me that there is a mass is pushing for on your voice cord. It's the same mass, and he told me you cannot cure this until you cure the first thing that is happening. So I went back again in May to the cancer doctor because there was some lockdown that make it difficult to reach to the hospital. We did the endoscopy, and unfortunately they couldn't get an efficient biopsy to make the test run of it. But he told me 90% you have lymphoma.
So they were not able to diagnose the
Yeah,
disease for almost
so
7 8
from
months.
September till May, I couldn't found any concrete diagnosis. So now the doctor told me the last option that we have, that you need to go to a main surgeon where they will do a major surgery. They will cut from the bones and they will go inside and take
Biopsy.
one biopsy, and that 100% will do it. I remember after that meeting with the doctor, my both cousin was with me. They was helping me from the beginning on that, and told them, with this lockdown, with all of the options the doctor they gave me, I cannot continue here because I need to go back to my family and to be close to them, also with my wife family. Because something like this you cannot fight alone, whether it's a cancer or not. So with help of my cousin who has some relations inside the embassy, you cannot imagine in June how much the lockdown was restricted and there was no transportation even inside the country. But fortunately, on 30th of June, we found a flight that was the only flight going from Dubai to Amman. On the same day, they called me and they told me 4 a.m. you need to be back up and fly. So my life stopped in Dubai at that time. Whatever I have, I sold it and we throw it, whatever it happened that day. And we went back to Palestine. After 2 weeks of reaching there, I scheduled for another surgery. There was a surgeon already waiting for me. We scheduled everything before I reached there. We did the surgery, and Alhamdulillah, from the first time he reached to the mess, and he get an efficient biopsy to diagnose it. The labs they confirmed it was a lymphoma, and once we got the diagnosis, we get a little bit relief because at least you know what you are fighting.
True.
So I admitted on a Najah hospital in Nablus, Palestine, and we did 6 sessions of chemotherapy. It was 12 cycles for almost 6 months, and during that time also I did 2 PT scan every 6 months just to make sure that the chemo is acting positively with the cells. And Alhamdulillah, I remember after the first 6 sessions, it was almost 80% curing the disease. And in 17 January, Alhamdulillah, I finished all of the 12 session of chemo. I did the second BT scan on February, and they confirmed everything is fine. And I came back again on March to Dubai. I joined StarLink again. alhamdulillah. And I did, after that, one BT scan, one CT scan, everything is normal. So, and now I'm here.
That's nice. Indeed, the experience that you had to go through physically. I know it was very painful when we had this discussion also in past, right? And it was really draining. But what we usually oversee is that mentally it must be also very distressing, right? So if you could share your thoughts on that, what was the thought process that you had during the entire episode?
The first thing is you are tired, coughing for around 9 months. And the most difficult part on it, that you don't know what you have. And all the people around you, they saw that you are suffering, but they cannot help because you don't know what it is. And you can imagine it's 9 months and I'm still working. So you have your health things to care about, and work stuff, and your family stuff. And when Corona came, it's make things more worse. And I remember, especially the time from September till January, the most symptoms of the cancer came. Uh, Difficulty of sleeping, rush, and later the loss of voice. So all of this happening. My family in my country, they was very worried. I remember my father, he came in end of December just to check what is going on. But because doctors, they was saying that there is nothing, so we was a little bit uh, worried on that. And moreover, when you are facing something like this and they told you maybe it's cancer, you will start thinking about chemotherapy, what I will do it. I can do it here. Is it easy? And as I said, because I was alone here with my family, uh, facing chemotherapy alone, where there is no one to help you, like to reach to the hospitals, and there is no much hospitals in any country to do with. So there is, like in Dubai, there is one in Zaleikha and one in Abu Dhabi, which is Tuam. So there is far distance that you need to go there every 2 weeks. And I remember when I was in my country and doing the chemo sessions, in each session I was admitting in the hospital for 2 to 3 days because it was a little bit difficult taking the chemo. So in general, it was mentally and physically difficult. But once you start taking the chemo and reaching to the end, you start, getting more healthy because all of the symptoms is going, and more encouraged that I'm finishing that.
The face, yeah.
So it must have been like a really big burden on you and like very exhausting, obviously, that you said mentally and physically. But how did you manage to stay strong during that time? Like, where did you get the support and strength from?
So I will say a big thank to my wife first, because for me she was the biggest hero in this story, because she faced this alone with me. Like, yes, your parents, your friends, your colleagues in the company, they know something, but they don't see you facing this day to day.
True.
And it was more difficult on Ramadan. I was fasting, and you cannot imagine how that Ramadan was very difficult. Even the doctor, he told me you shouldn't fast. And with the lockdown, make things more worse, because staying at home for 3 months with that thing where you are physically tired and you cannot go to hospital to find the solution. But with the help of my wife first, then my cousins here, they gave me a lot of support. And also, I cannot forget Mr. Sayed Qadri, big support from the beginning. And almost everyone in StarLink, everyone, once they know that I am from the first surgery till today, everyone, they were supportive. But at the beginning of that, you cannot tell everyone what is happening. So there was a few people that you are telling, and those people who was really there up to the up to that to help to support. Thank to Ashraf, to Murad, to everyone on that at that time.
So yeah, we often see that, individuals, they get stuck with some situations in life and they tend to take a step back in their career or probably put a pause, right? But in your case, Alhamdulillah, I mean, you did mention that you plan to go back to your hometown for good. But when things recovered, you decided to come back to Dubai and start all over again. So how did you get this motivation to continue with your life and career as it is?
This motivation came from this this nice and great place, nice environment. Starling for me, it was not just a place to work. It was really, really a big family. Not because of this, even before that, but they really stand up for me. I remember when I at the end of May, I came to the management and I told them clearly, I have this and I need to find a solution. And after that, most likely it will be uh, 6 months to 1 year of chemotherapy. And I don't want, to drag you on this. But they insist. Thanks to Mr. Nadar and Mr. Mahmoud and Mr. Zaidoun. They told me go back, take care of your health, and whatever is needed, we will support you. And they helped me with this and financially support, which gave me more, more brave and more peace of mind, because when there is someone is giving you a backup, a support, other than your family, you feel encouraged and more brave to fight this. And also, as I told you earlier, they gave me the chance to work from home. Even at that time, I asked for it because you need something else to concentrate, because
To keep you busy.
keep thinking about the disease and about the chemotherapy will make you more, stressed. But keep engaging with the team and feeling that there is nothing happens. uh, Give me more help, give me more support to continue on this. And when I finished everything on February, and I told them I finished, and you should see how they was very, patient and very, very happy that I'm coming back to Dubai. Yani, no one from my relatives to my friends, they imagine that I will be back again to Dubai and continue my life. I just, as you said, both come back with the same everything. I found, and they helped me a lot. Starlink, especially Izzuddin, the PRO, with the visa and everything. Alhamdulillah, there was many facilitated me on that to come back without any extra challenges. I started again with the renewal team with the same products. Thanks to the renewal team for the support on that 6 months, and to Syed Qadri to facilitate that during that 6 months. I know it was a little bit challenging for all of them to handle that. And I came back here, a lot of support. I remember till now, wherever I see Mr. Mahmoud, Mr. Zaidoun, Mr. Samar, they're always asking, how is your health? Everything is fine. Whatever need you want, we are always here as a big family, and they are really a big family.
That's amazing, honestly, that I can see it in your face and your eyes how like it's so bright when you're talking about when you got over that kind of disease and that difficulty. But I want to ask you, there are obviously some lasting effects that you still have from cancer. How do you deal with them till now?
So, Alhamdulillah, after completing the 12 cycles of chemotherapy, all of the symptoms they disappear. But unfortunately, because that one of the lymph node they was pushing my voice cord, so my voice is partially disappear. Even I went to doctors and they said even if we do a surgery, still it will remain with the same. So I need to live with that. Uh, but my wife, alhamdulillah, she like my voice even after
That's
that.
nice, Alhamdulillah.
So
And after till now, I have some stomach issue because most of the time the chemo is when it's go recycle on the bodies will go to the stomach, so it's affecting a little bit the stomach side, but inshallah after like 1 year it will disappear. And I cannot forget that I need to keep up on doing checkups every 3 months, then 6 months, then 1 year, the rest of my life to make sure that this will not come back again. So yeah, alhamdulillah, whatever the negative side is happening, there was
Will always
always
be
a
a positive,
positive
yeah.
side on that.
So, Yahya, any important realization that you would like to share with us in your battle with cancer?
So my first and most important realization on this journey that you need to focus on your health
Indeed,
much, and sometimes we ignore whatever we have because we saw it like uh, it's not it's not big. Yani in my case, it started with the normal cough.
True.
Then we realized later, after 9 months, that it's something big. So the first thing, whatever you have, you need to stop everything, check your health, go to the hospital, make sure that everything is fine, because for sure your workplace don't need someone with less health. They need everyone with complete health. Second thing, on this journey, for sure your family needs you. So make sure that you do the even normal checkups. Even if you don't have anything, do normal checkups every 6 months or 1 year, because moreover we are getting older. Our bodies, with the life that we are living in, needs more concentration. Also, uh, the realization is that we need to sometimes put a barrier between our work life and our personal life.
indeed, yeah.
The time for work is work, and the time to take off and enjoy your life, take it, because believe me, stress is more painful and lethal than cancer or any other disease. So yeah, mainly this is what I came up. And finally, for sure, whatever the disease that you have, you need someone to fight with you. So get how StarLink team, all of the employees, they stand up with me, and they gather a good amount of money, and they give it to me at the night when I travel back to my country. That amount of money with the StarLink financial support, they help me a lot to fight this, to feel more safe, more stable, to to fight it without thinking more on how I will deal with it, how will live financially.
Amazing. It's great to hear that you had such a big support system
Yeah. And I
in your
believe, yeah,
journey.
definitely.
And so now coming to the conclusion, I want to know what is your message to everyone, but especially men, since it's the month of November, when it comes to health.
So my big message to men and everyone, that take care of your health. Don't ignore, don't dismiss any symptom. Wherever you have something that you are suspicious, take off, go to the hospital, make whatever is needed, and do whatever possible to make sure that you are healthy. Uh, Not because just for yourself, it's for your family, it's for your company, for your friends, and for everyone. Finally, also, my message to everyone is when you give anything to the company, for sure one day they will stand up for you. When you give, for sure, inshallah, you will get back. Thank you.
Thank you, Muhammad, for sharing such an incredible story with us. And your resilience and your strength shines every day here at StarLink, and we're all inspired by that. So again, I want to thank you for being here, and we wish you a lifetime of happiness and health.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you to let me and give me the chance to tell everyone how Starlink they helped me on that. Thank you.
And also to our viewers, we would like to advise you to be aware of both your physical and mental health. Get yourself checked regularly, and please don't ignore the signs your mind and body sends you. At the end of the day, health indeed is of paramount importance, and if you seek help, like you saw in Yahya's story, there will be many there to support you.
Remaining on the topic of health, let's talk about the important solutions and technologies that work alongside our healthcare workers to save lives. We know that during this pandemic, healthcare institutes were some of the main targets for cyber attacks. So securing these institute systems and applications to remain available 24/7 is crucial.
Hence, in this segment, we'll be discussing about the cybersecurity solutions that protect healthcare institutes. So joining us now is the cybersecurity veteran with a decade of experience, Mr. Vikas Nagdev, StarLink Senior Solution Architect. So please allow us to welcome him.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today, Vikas.
Thank you, Sidra.
So Vikas, since our discussion today is on the healthcare and the cybersecurity part, right? And in 2021, as per the industry experts, we have seen that the cost of data breach when it comes to the healthcare sector has been enormous, right? So we would like to know from you that how pandemic has impacted the cybersecurity threat landscape in the healthcare industry.
See, during COVID-19 and this pandemic, the last couple of years, the healthcare sector was basically the most, I would say, attack-centric. All the cyber criminals, they were focusing on the healthcare sector. The reason being basically they were under stress. The healthcare industry needs to move on, irrespective whether there's a cyber criminal attack, there's basically an attack on their devices, medical vulnerabilities. They always need to be working because they couldn't say, yes, I don't have the records, I don't have patient records, my devices are not running, because patients are there and you need to be taking care of those patients.
Indeed, yeah.
With cyber criminals, they don't care whether it's a pandemic, people are dying, it's basically patients under stress. They were actually taking this as an advantage. They were creating more ransomware attacks, and healthcare industry was the major targeted for ransomware, and they didn't have a choice. Even though the authority said, let's not pay money to the ransomware, to the attackers. But what was the choice left? Imagine a patient comes to your hospital, you don't have the patient records, your medical devices are not running, you don't have any historical trends of this particular patient, what medicines, what vaccinations he was taking,
Sure.
and suddenly you need to treat this patient. Without any historical data, it was a big vulnerability for a hospital to provide healthcare facilities to a provider, to a patient. Now, this is where ransomware attack was the most important attack which happened in the last couple of years, and healthcare needs to be prepared. They were always focusing on putting money into the healthcare sector where they wanted to have more medical devices, more advanced controls and stuff, but cybersecurity was somewhere ignored. And now during this pandemic, they realized how important cybersecurity is, and now they're trying to invest more money and they are creating budgets for cybersecurity within the organization.
So what are the motives that you see from cyber criminal side now? I mean, when it comes to the healthcare industry?
See, there's only a single motive for a cyber criminal: to make money. Why would you create a malware, or why would you try to attack to someone when you're not getting any return? So it's all about ROI. So any cyber criminal, when he's trying to create an attack, he's trying to send a ransomware, end of the day he wants to make money. Even though you end up paying money to him, he might not end up giving you the encryption keys, and still you are at a loss. But as a healthcare provider, imagine what is the condition like. All your patient records are encrypted, you don't have backup, you don't have any business continuity plans. What would you do in such a scenario? You end up paying ransom. So this is where the challenge is. Healthcare needs to be prepared and they need to be proactive compared to a reactive approach.
Definitely.
And now, Vikas, how do medical device security vulnerabilities pose risks to the patient safety?
So that's basically again continuation to the same part. Imagine a device is vulnerable. You have basically a heartbeat device, or maybe you have something called as a diabetes device. Imagine the output of a device has been manipulated because there's a vulnerability in this particular device. Your diabetes ideal patient record says like 100 is the minimum level of sugar or maybe fasting sugar, and imagine the fasting sugar comes out like it will be 150, which is not really the correct measurements, or maybe the heartbeat of a patient or the blood pressure of a patient is reported incorrectly. Imagine the amount of doses. If I double up the amount of dose, because when you have a patient in the ICU, there are a lot of machines connected to this patient, and imagine these machines are vulnerable. A higher dose to a particular patient and the patient could actually die. So that's how vulnerability is, and we need to look at the medical device vulnerabilities, which is much more very important compared to any IT device or a security device vulnerabilities. And this is why device vulnerabilities is very, very important. So attackers will actually try to misuse those vulnerabilities, try to breach those vulnerabilities, and try to make those devices work in a faulty way.
And now, how should healthcare provider organizations approach disaster recovery?
So basically, when you talk about disaster recovery, a disaster can occur at any stage. It could be basically a device vulnerability, it could be basically a ransomware attack. So at the end of the day, we need to keep our basics very, very clear. What we need to do is, first of all, have a backup, a very secure backup that should be ransomware protected. Tomorrow, if something goes wrong, we need to be prepared. We need to have basically a restore strategies. We need to timely do a restore. At the same time, we need to have basically a disaster recovery center. So let's say you have a data center or you have all your services running from a particular data center. You need to have a backup disaster recovery center where in case of a disaster, the services could run from a DR. Now many providers or many healthcare providers, they do also have a DR, but are you actually having a live DR? That's the most important question to be answered. Imagine something goes down today, you say I have backup servers, they will be running, but did you actually do a DR drill? So you need to actually do a disaster recovery drill, shut down your servers and see in reality the servers are coming up and the services are coming up, yes or no. That's the strategy of a disaster recovery.
All right. So, Vikas, now as an expert in this field, we would like you to share your insights on the lessons learned and what are the threats that healthcare should watch out for in 2022.
See, 2022, the attack vector will increase. Now, because of this new normal, people are calling it. Everybody is working from home. Everybody wants to log in remotely.
Definitely.
So, the attack surface has increased. Initially, you were trying to protect only your environment within the network, within the hospital, within the healthcare providers zone. Now, imagine doctors are logging in remotely.
Yes.
Patient wants to log into their reports. They want to look at their medical conditions. They want to have the basically patient records in hand at any given point of time. So this is where attack surface is increasing and this is where the cyber criminals are taking advantage. Earlier, to attack a particular environment, they need to pass through the perimeter controls.
True.
Now there is no perimeter, everything is perimeterless. So identity theft, ransomware, every threat is a new threat for an healthcare provider. So we need to look at all the new sophisticated threats, look at the new cybersecurity solutions in the market, and healthcare needs to invest. They need to create budgets for cybersecurity, and this is where we need to tell the executives, yes, no doubt, you're focusing on the healthcare segment, you're focusing on the medical devices, but you need to focus on cybersecurity. That's my message to the healthcare providers.
Thank you so much, Vikas, for your time today, and indeed it was our pleasure to have you here.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Moving on, in this segment, we'll be discussing about the digital transformation and cloud in healthcare sector. Joining us now is a seasoned professional with a decade of experience in this industry. So please allow us to welcome Mr. Tamer Al-Tahir, Starlink's UAE Channel Manager. Glad to have you here today, Tamer.
Thank you so much, Sidra. I'm nice for this. I'm glad to be part of this. Looking forward for more and more to come from you guys. Thank you.
So how are digital transformation services and cloud assisting to create a strategic advantage for a large and global healthcare system?
Well, that's a very good question, Mais. Honestly speaking, there's a lot happening in the health sector. There's a lot of competition happening within the health sector.
Sure.
So to distinguish any health sector or any hospital or even any corporation, you need to understand the advantages of digital transformation, how to utilize it. So to create that kind of thing, you need to position yourself within the digital transformation world to become the pioneer within that field. So there's a lot to do within the digital transformation whenever it comes to the health sector. However, nowadays we're seeing a lot of demand happening within the health sector, especially when it comes to the Gulf region. But there's a lot more to do. There's a lot more to provide for our customers. So definitely there's a lot of room to enhance toward the digital transformation, especially to make an organization a pioneer or to understand the competitive advantages of that digital transformation that they can utilize with their customers.
So Tamer, now coming to the business perspective of the healthcare sector, right? So they have a goal to enhance the customer experience, increase patient engagement, or acquisitions and retentions as well. So how do you see the healthcare leading the sector when it comes to the digital transformation services and cloud?
Amazing, Sidra. Well, let me make it very simple. Whenever it comes to health sector, okay, we can witness a lot of time there is a lack or there's a delay on their digital transformation journey among other sectors like oil and gas or the government or even let's like the finance. Now to become a leader it's a different story. Okay, to become a leader within digital transformation, they need to understand the demand. They need to understand what's happening in the market, find these gaps, okay, within the digital transformation, and to enhance it with their customers. Now, okay, I can give you many examples, like of many organizations within the Gulf region specifically and globally, where they understand that kind of demand and they start building upon that. They turn any risk actually to opportunity. So let me give you an example. Like one of the organization in US, one of the cancer center, and Sidra, my situation with the cancer with my family.
Definitely.
One of the cancer center actually started giving a second opinion, and I was shocked the way they did it. Actually, they understand the demand happening on their website. They found out that 60% of the demand that's coming to their website, it's coming from globally. It's coming from other sides of the world. It's not coming only from the US. It's coming from China. It's coming from Africa. It's coming from Russia. So they found that as an opportunity to utilize all that kind of demand and create a second opinion for these guys. So they create a new service, okay, from nowhere that they can offer to these customers, to these consumer, where they benefit from it because they're gonna make money. At the same time, those customers starving to get the best out of the health sector to get them utilized and to get the benefit out of it. So there's a lot to do there. There's a lot of enhancement. Trust me, we're still in the early stages whenever it comes to healthcare with the digital transformation.
Now, how about during the pandemic? How did digital transformation services and cloud play a role in business continuity in the healthcare sector?
Okay, that's a very good question again, guys. Well, within the pandemic, we witnessed a lot of changes that happened within the healthcare sector. Actually, we found a demand that the healthcare was trying to triple their staff.
Sure.
So a lot of them start thinking about alternatives. Digital transformation with them was usually as may have or maybe not a must to have. Within COVID, we witness it where it's not anymore a luxury. It's a commodity for them. Okay, so we understand that this kind of thing emphasize the need for the digital transformation to utilize all their services, to allow their employees to work from home, to serve their customer whether they're at home, to get their prescription at home without any kind of driving face to face or getting going to the pharmacy to get this or that. So with digital transformation during COVID, actually during the pandemic, it proved that the need for kind of communication to allow all that application, all that kind of need actually between the customer and their healthcare, it's utilized without the need to show up in the healthcare sector.
Thank you so much, Tamer. So now moving on, now let's talk about the future. So how do you see the paradigm shift happening when it comes to the digital transformation of services or cloud?
Oh, there's a lot to talk about this. Well, I mean, I can give you examples of how I see the future whenever it comes to digital transformation. I mean, one of the examples, you can do the surgery away from the patient itself, while you're
Through
moving the
telemedicine and all
robotic
of it,
you're controlling the surgery itself without even the need for it to be there. So the idea of face to face with the patient, it's becoming more actually a not a demand. It's becoming more as it's let's say a headache. Let's say because a lot of time the customer or the consumer or the patient he or she want to meet the doctor or he want to do the surgery, and there is some kind of requirement that he or she cannot make it available, being in the hospital, for example, travel abroad just to get there at that point. Okay. The doctor is somewhere busy. So all that kind of demand that you can benefit out of it, you can turn it as from risk to opportunity. It's going to create more and more within the digital transformation within the health sector. So I see the demand is tripling, and actually it's exponentially moving forward with the health sector. Again, the health sector is still, I feel it's not as fast as other sectors whenever it comes to digital transformation. So I believe there's a lot more room to enhance it and to see the best out of it within the healthcare sector.
Thank you, Tamer, for joining us today. And indeed, it was really insightful conversation to learn more from you.
I really appreciate that from you guys. Looking forward to have more with you guys. There's a lot to talk about more. Thank you so much.
So moving on to our last segment, where we'll be discussing about intelligent automation benefits in healthcare industry. Joining us now is an industry expert, Mr. Ziaur Rahman, the StarLink BU head for intelligent automation. Thank you for joining us today, Zia.
Thank you for having me, Sidra.
So Zia, what are the prime areas in healthcare that we should focus on?
Predominant areas for any organizations today that when they're thinking of scalability is patient experience and patient journey. So ultimately, everybody is looking forward to achieve the collective care, but those are the two predominant focus that every organization is trying to achieve.
And also, why is there a prime need for intelligent automation at the moment when it comes to the daily healthcare practice?
So if you look at today as a healthcare organization, and predominantly each one of these healthcare organizations has three segments to focus: the clinical, the administrative, and there is support operations. So the patient journey or the patient life cycle or the administrative work and the supporting operations, they all have to work hand in hand to make this journey more insightful. And today, augmenting intelligent automation in that journey has become a prime need. Why? Because most of the organizations, they think of doing more with less. And that is only possible when you start leveraging and connecting those dots between all of these three segments and start talking about an integrated approach. So the patient journey has a big impact today when you walk in. So the turnaround time of the patient spent in the hospital, right? The journey from registration to disbursement of medicines and records, the insightful data coming out of those footfalls. These are the three major areas today intelligent automation is actually helping organizations to augment, because there's a huge amount of spending, time and effort going in. So definitely there is a big area of intelligent automation to be augmented.
So Zia, we have seen recently that multiple regulatory bodies are coming up with a lot of data initiatives in the healthcare industry. So how do you see that intelligent automation playing a vital role in this area?
That's a good question, Sidra. And today, data-driven organizations have already embarked on taking data to decision journey more insightful. This is no more good to have, but a prime need today, because a lot of data that is floating in today in multiple segmentations within the healthcare industry needs to be managed and regularized. So today, these bodies are doing everything that is needed to make sure that these data are not just compliant, but also accessible. Providing information when needed is becoming a crucial need of the moment today. We wouldn't be able to collect, analyze these large sets of data without the help of augmenting intelligent automation. Data integration, data governance, data security, these are parameters today where chief medical officers are playing a vital role. Chief data officers are playing a very crucial strategies around data. Real world evidence, and today with pandemic, multiple clinical advanced trials that are expected to happen is not on a real-time data.
Right.
So today real-time data has to be accessible with multiple regulatory body, and they will have to make a lot of sense out of it. Predictive data, data interoperabilities and compliances are becoming crucial factors. Personalizing healthcare for each and every patient record and managing those records to be available for the healthy patient journey is another key factor here. So augmenting technology, adding intelligence to those technologies, and then having an integrated approach is where regulatory bodies are actually working with huge large data sets and enabling healthcare organizations to take those intelligent automation decisions. So this is one of the most crucial factors of each of these regions have started adopting, accommodating, and adjusting within the data journey.
Thank you so much, Zia. Indeed, it was a very insightful discussion that we've had. So moving on to my last question, Zia, what we would like to know from you, how is Starlink helping healthcare sector through intelligent automation?
Starlink's vision in this domain as intelligent automation as a practice is to connect, elevate, and most importantly, integrate people, process, platform, and data as an intelligent automation journey. So today we have walked into organizations and we have seen intelligent processes in place. We have seen intelligent platform technologies in place. We have seen intelligent data sources in place, helping organizations to embed next generation technologies and also the smart skill sets today available around AI and machine learning. Adoption of these kind of practices is very essential today to make the intelligent automation journey actually in production. So today, healthcare services being in the forefront, serving the community and the nationwide. Starlink today plays a very vital role as a healthcare trusted advisor to the healthcare provider. And we have a responsibility towards the domain, right? Bringing in this kind of skill sets, next generation technologies, is what Starlink has already embarked as a practice, and you will see this business unit now focusing and delivering such skill sets as well.
Thank you so much, Zia, for joining us today. And indeed, the conversation was really insightful. I'm certain that the viewers from our healthcare sector will find this very valuable.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you.
And that's the end of our episode. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, please make sure to like and subscribe to see more from us, and leave us your thoughts on pulse@starlinkme.net. We'll see you later.